He who is devoid of wisdom despises his neighbour, but a man of understanding holds his peace. A talebearer reveals secrets, but he who is of a faithful spirit conceals a matter. Where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counsellors there's safety. He who is surety for a stranger will suffer, but one who hates being surety is secure. My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we share together these verses 12 to 15 from Proverbs chapter 11. 4 statements about how we deal with other people. There are some traps that we need to avoid, and this is where we get a contrast between the wisdom of this world and the wisdom that is from God. So he who is devoid of wisdom, and the margin has lacks heart, despises his neighbour, but a man of understanding holds his peace. So we are in communities, small communities and large communities, and ultimately the whole world is one community. And the proverb is, he who is devoid of wisdom despises his neighbour. There are many reasons that we might look down on somebody else. Their culture might be different. Their language might be different. Their economic status might be different. But the man of understanding recognizes that none of these differences are critical. None of them means that that person is less than we are. We should not despise them because each person is individually crafted by God for a particular role in society. If we were all the same, identical, then life would be very boring and we'd be all the time getting in each other's way. So God has built into this creation great diversity, and we need to understand that there is a reason for this diversity. And so there's no reason at all to despise somebody else. If we have more opportunity than them, then we can thank God for it. But it is not because intrinsically we are better. If they have more opportunity than us, it's not because they are intrinsically better. It's just that God has placed them with a different character in a different set of circumstances that we all might relate together. And it is in the scriptures that we learn that we are all of one blood. We're all of one family. We're all descendant from Adam, and we're all descendant from Noah. God has divided communities to live in different places with different resources, has allowed different languages and different cultures, but none of these is a matter of pride, for we were born where we were born. None of us chose our parents, and our parents didn't choose what we would be like either. And so we must have respect for all people. The next proverb was, a talebearer reveals, and so we should not be spending our time criticizing what other people are doing. We need to hold our peace and honor them as we trust that they would honor us. Verse 13 says, a talebearer reveals secrets, but he who is a faithful spirit conceals a matter. In the course of life, we get to know information about other people. And sometimes we can use that information against them and to exalt ourselves. But if we are faithful, then that which is given to us in confidence, we keep in confidence. We can refer the matter to God, and if it's a criminal matter, we might need to disclose that matter to appropriate authorities. But we should not use that information for our own advantage, to take advantage of another person, or to exalt ourselves over them. When you hear a person who's all the time running down somebody else, telling stories about them that put them in a bad light, then be wary, because God has chosen that person. God has created that person. You are criticizing God, when you criticize that person. And so a faithful spirit conceals a matter. And then verse 14, where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. Any wise governor will have a council that he refers to, a cabinet, a company of advisors. Even the great kings like Solomon and David had men that they discussed policy with, that they might make good choices. Now, sometimes the policy recommendations they would override, but the point of having counsel is that you have the opportunity to discuss and explore the options. If a person just goes ahead with their own plan, it brings disaster on everybody. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. There is protection, because you don't immediately think of all the ramifications of a policy decision. There are often aspects of the policy that you have not anticipated. And so, particularly when you need to make a decision that affects others, then you need to consult widely to make sure that you get the right decision. And the fourth proverb we're looking at today is, he who is surety for a stranger will suffer, but one who hates being surety is secure. The idea is when you guarantee somebody, you commit yourself, typically financially, on behalf of somebody outside your family and outside your immediate long-term circle of friends. It's for a stranger, for someone you don't know. They can make a strong case, and indeed many people have been robbed of their money because a stranger has come up to them and made a very plausible tale about how they can make money by investing in a particular thing. And so you say, I have some money to invest. I will invest in this project. It sounds like a good project. If you've just taken the advice of the promoter and not sought wise counsel, then you really are putting yourself in a dangerous position. He who hates being surety is secure. In other words, don't invest your money in dodgy deals. Don't underwrite somebody else's grand schemes, especially when they're a stranger to you. You only know the face that they present. You don't know their background. You don't know their history. God gives us, in the course of life, resources. And the challenge for us is to know how to use those resources. People will come to relieve us of those things that we have by coming up with lots of plans and getting us to make commitments to the expenditure of money when there is no personal commitment of them to us, although they might make grand promises. And so you enter into an arrangement where you agree to pay or you pay, but when you do that, you'll be caught out. The only safe way to invest money is to invest it in heaven, for where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And how do you invest in heaven? By doing with your funds those things that honour God, that provide the needs of the poor, as you seek to glorify God. So we have the person who is devoid of wisdom despises his neighbour, but a man of understanding holds his peace. He doesn't malign or undermine or criticize that other person. A talebearer reveals secrets, but he who is a faithful spirit conceals a matter. What you have learned in confidence, keep in confidence. Don't use that information for your own advantage, because it will backfire on you. Where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. Talk about your plans before you execute them. And he who is surety for a stranger will suffer, but one who hates being shorty is secure.